Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Power Up by PNM podcast network in partnership with the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, featuring some of our community's favorite leaders and small business owners. So plug in your favorite device, grab a sack lunch and your favorite beverage, and join us every Tuesday at noon to meet the movers and shakers in our community that are not letting anything hold them back. We are here to inspire you to continue to grow and scale your small business venture. Don't forget to call us at 505-842-9003 for all of your PPE supply needs. And for this podcast and any and all other information about the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, visit us at www.ahcnm.org/chamberchat. We'll give you another minute if you are joining us live.
Hello, everybody. This is JP Espinoza, your host of the PoweredUp by PNM podcast. And today we have a remarkable story from a remarkable individual. Angela Romero is in our studios today, and we're going to get to her story. You're definitely going to be inspired, and what a message she's going to share with us today. But before we jump into it, we got a couple of quick announcements. We have our Get Crafty that's happening Thursday, December the 3rd at 5:30 to 7:30 at the Skidmore Holiday Bowl. That's a great place for you to meet new connections, that you can expand your network, because we believe at the Hispano Chamber of Commerce that you are one connection away from making every dream in your life come true. Also, if you may not be aware that we have the Be Well NM enrollment taking place. Did you know that is open enrollment right now? The open enrollment period for the health insurance marketplace begins November 1st through January 15th. So if you're in need of health insurance or you want to explore your health insurance options, make sure you go to the state-based exchange at bewellnm.com, and it offers localized assistance to bring better health insurance options right to you. Now, the Hispano Chamber of Commerce is constantly doing great events in our community. If you go to our calendar of events at www.ahcnm.org/events, you'll be able to download all of our events that are taking place. One of the highlights are our ribbon cuttings. This is a great opportunity for you to meet chamber members along with local businesses that are supporting our chamber, and a chance to network and learn about other people. Also, if you're in need of PPE supplies, the Hispano Chamber of Commerce is your supplier. If you happen to do business in the Albuquerque or Bernalillo City County limits and you have less than 50 employees, you can call the chamber between 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday, to come pick up your supplies. Now, next week, we're going to have a really great guest. Our next week is going to be Olivia Padilla-Jackson, who happens to be the VP of Finance and Operations for CNM. We're going to unpack the educational issues that are facing our state. And also, you can go to our chamber website for more information about anything we do right here. But today, we have our special guest in our studios, Angela Romero. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're so happy to have you. And just as in our pre-interview, we're just talking, what an amazing story that you have. You know, you went from homelessness to hero. I mean, because you're a thriving business owner, you own 2 businesses, and you were able to overcome some tremendous adversities in your life. So before we jump into how you overcame what those adversities were and how you overcame them, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me, JP. My name is Angela Romero, as you mentioned, and I am a local business owner, pretty passionate about entrepreneurship and about our great state, New Mexico, being a lifelong community member and resident. So I own a couple of businesses, one being Angela Romero Insurance, and my clients are employers that need benefits for their employees. So employee benefits specialist.
You're an employee benefit specialist. So you help with, like, very similar to the Be Well NM. You're helping people get insurance, right?
Very similar.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
You're able to help a lot of business owners and employees.
For 20 plus years, yeah.
Come on now. You don't even look that old to be doing business that long. Well, that's awesome. So you've been in employee benefits, and also you own a company called the ABQ Axe?
Yes.
Okay, that's where you throw axe at a target, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great stress relief.
Tell us, like, we'll get into like how you got into that, but basically, it's just a place where people can go unwind, have fun, and enjoy themselves.
Exactly. It's like darts, only axes.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, yeah. And, it's you could go bowling, you could do escape rooms, you could come throw axes and play games. Lots of great team building events. People have bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, birthday parties. So much fun.
Well, you definitely found a new customer. I will be frequenting your establishment, no doubt about it. But today what we want to talk about, you have such a special story, and that story talks about how you went from really losing your parents at an early age to understanding how the foster system works, and now one of your passions is the Heart Gallery, which happens to be a nonprofit that supports the foster children here in New Mexico, right?
Yes, indeed.
And so, as we get into this, you mind if we just learn a little bit about your story?
Oh, sure, no problem.
Yeah. So you mentioned, I read in your bio that at I said 17, at a teenage, you were a teenager when you really didn't have any parents.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. My dad passed away, who was basically my sole parent at the time, in a plane crash, actually outside of Albuquerque here, 1982. I was about 11 years old.
Yeah. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough. And from what I understand, your mom wasn't in the picture at that point.
Right. Yes. There's someone I just never knew.
Right. Someone you never knew. So here you were 11 years old. Do you have any siblings?
I do have a brother.
Yeah. So here you and your brother are now facing life without parents.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And you had no family here.
I had no family other than my dad had married someone shortly before he passed away, but it wasn't much of. I just didn't really
Sure.
want a couple of teenagers.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. Yeah, that wasn't part of the plan. It wasn't part of the plan. So here you are. So you and your brother. Is your brother older or younger?
He's 16 months older.
Oh, so you guys are pretty much the same age.
Yep.
And so now you guys have to band together to figure this thing out. So can you walk us through the emotions of what it was like at 11 from the perspective of an 11-year-old, trying to figure out how to navigate this world and not knowing what this world, is like? What happened?
Oof. I guess the easiest way I can explain it, or the best way, it's just like the sun went dark for about 2 years.
Wow.
I can tell you that's all I felt. I had school, I had those kind of responsibilities, but it's pretty challenging as a youth to be faced with no family, no parents really.
Sure.
I mean, no home, and I think people think of their parents as adults. I mean, they love them and they have parents, but
right.
as a child, they are your world. Not just from an emotional standpoint, but from a support standpoint.
Right.
They're your security and your foundation on which to build. And when you don't have that, it's pretty earth-shattering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, so you went through this tremendous tragedy in your life, but today it appears like you're thriving. You own businesses, you're successful, you're giving back to the community through your nonprofit, work and charitable acts. What an amazing story. Well, that comes into it. But really what I want to talk about is, you understanding what the world of a foster child goes through, because you said you're at 16, 17, you were an emancipated minor.
Mm-hmm.
That basically you're almost an adult. The state looks at you as an adult, and you got to figure things out on your own at that point, right?
That's correct.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't even know what to do at 16. Are you kidding me? Right? Much less trying to figure it out on my own. But with that said,
myself. We do see is that the youth in the foster system
thinks about it because they're trying to build and raise their own kids. Children. So we looked into the foster care system, and what we realized is that it probably was not a right fit for our family, so we didn't proceed. However, you begin to learn about their stories, and you begin to learn about the backgrounds and all the issues that they're facing. My heart just goes out to them because of what they're facing, and well, but if it's happening generationally, what are some of the systemic causes to this issue?
Yeah. And again, that's a lot of it is is the poverty, the drug use, and when they're in that environment, that's what they know.
Right. Yeah.
And so those kind of things contribute to the cycle of
Right.
them being in that frame of mind where, or that situation where they don't have a lot of support and they don't have a nice foundation on
Right.
which to build. And maybe they don't even have family, or a place to be for the holidays, or a place to call home, or a place to go when the world is falling apart around them.
Right.
I mean, think about the pandemic, when everybody retreated to their homes and retreated to their families because that's what we do, right?
Right.
We go to, that's where we go for support. Well, a lot of these youth, they don't even have that. They might be in foster home situations, sure, but unfortunately, when the youth are not in school, a lot of abuse is reported at school, and when they weren't in school, we didn't
Yeah.
have those reports. We don't know,
Yeah.
so that can cause a delayed effect there. So we really don't even know what the status of if we're getting more or less because of the pandemic causing that.
So it's like right now we're like in a blackout phase. We really don't know.
It kind of did create that. With,
Right.
I know plenty of youth were kind of lost. During that time that they weren't in school, and I'm thinking there's plenty still that haven't resurfaced. They still don't know the whereabouts because they used to have all the laws and everything in place where the children had to go. The truancy laws, they had to go to school, and then when they weren't in school, there's a lot of abuse and domestic issues that are not reported because that's where they get reported.
So that's so heartbreaking. So let me ask you this: how many of our foster kids in New Mexico end up finding forever homes?
Well, I wish I had exact numbers for you,
Sure. Yeah. No worries.
I don't think it's the majority.
Yeah,
sadly.
it's probably a small percentage.
But that's where we come in as the Heart Gallery. We try to get them out there and get their professional pictures taken and their
Right.
sibling group pictures taken so that they can be seen and be heard. Like you said, they
Right.
are kind of I think they feel like they are not heard and not seen.
Right.
Largely because they can't be, because they need to be protected. But it's hard to be in a world where they feel isolated and unseen and unheard.
Right.
So we do try to get their photos out there so they can be seen and hopefully and find a forever family. And when it doesn't happen, our age out youth, what we try to do is we put them in classes, and that's through our organization and through a group called Love Ya that they run. And they get life skills like anyone would, cooking
Right.
and car maintenance and interview skills. But then we also try to help them by transitioning them from foster care into independent living, like
Wow.
a parent would do.
So the Heart Gallery almost becomes like their parent, or it's hard to say parent, but at least some of the functions of what a parent would do for their children.
Some of those function,
Right,
yeah.
some of
We
those-
try to fill in that gap.
Right. Oh, it's so needed. You know, as you're talking, I want to circle back to something that was I think is really important to talk about. You know, where Heart Gallery provides hope to some of our foster children here in New Mexico. Who provided hope for you? Because today, I mean, you went from homelessness, being an emancipated minor, to living this productive, successful life. You own 2 businesses now, and you know, it seems like the future is very bright for you and your sons. So, who was hope for you?
You know, I really was blessed to have my dad for the 11 years that I did.
Right.
I mean, he taught me to be strong and independent, I think, in that amount of time,
Sure.
which I was very thankful for. I did have an aunt who was quite close in age to me. I think she was only about 8 years older than me, that I looked up to as a role model. Just she was all I wanted to be, extremely independent and wonderful. And she did live in California. She's actually the one who helped me become emancipated. She's the one who took me to, told me about it. Told me, because I wouldn't have known what that was.
Right, right.
And took me to court and helped me stand up there and get it done. So
Yeah, so she helped you. So now you're on your own. You're an emancipated minor. You're trying to figure out life. How in the world did you get into business? Like, how did that take place?
that just kind of naturally occurred. You know, I got in. I went to college because that was just something my dad said
Sure.
I would do.
You got to do it.
So
Yeah.
I did that. And when I came out of college, I found a career and it kind of found me. And
Yeah.
It was, I was always in sales. And
Sure.
I've had every job under the sun, believe me.
That-
Multiple at one time.
You're in good company.
Yeah, at an early age.
Yeah.
And so I fell into insurance because I was selling advertising, and they said, "Hey, we want you to sell for us." And
Right.
I said, "Okay." And that's how I got into that. I worked for FHP way back in the day, and Presbyterian Healthcare, and I thought, you know, as I thought about starting a family, I thought, this is a lot of time and work,
Right.
you know, working for a big corporation, and how can I get more flexibility? Well,
Right.
I will start my own business. Little did I know how much work is involved and how much more hours you end up working, but it worked out, and I think it's just my passion to help people. Like, I just
Yeah.
want to help people solve their problems, get things fixed, make it easy, and
Make it easy
yeah.
to serve people. Now, tell me a little bit about ABQ Acts. Like, where did that idea come from?
Yeah, that was kind of random.
Yeah.
We actually had been traveling. We went to Poland. My oldest son, he has a wanderlust and likes to go to foreign countries that are not really well known.
Sure.
And, not that Poland isn't well known, but it's not probably something that people would think.
Yeah, Italy, Rome. Let's go Spain, right? No, I want to go to Poland.
He wanted to go to Poland. I said, all right, so
Okay.
here we go. And it's a beautiful country, by the way.
Is it?
Absolutely stunning. And the food is amazing. People are, friendly, and it is very clean and lovely. And so we go and are booking a tour, and we kind of happen upon this place in the basement. One of the friends that was traveling with me was downstairs, and she came up and said, "Oh my gosh, you've got to go see. It's medieval down there. They're throwing axes." I said, "I don't think so. I don't think I want to go." So, and then I ended up peeking down there, and they were just having a ball throwing axes, and so we decided to give it a try on another day. And we had, my youngest son was 8, my mom was with me too, and she was about 62 at the time. And all 5 of us went and didn't want to leave. We were having so much fun. And
Right.
so we decided, okay, New Mexico needs one of these. We have got to bring this back to New Mexico. I've never heard of it, never seen it. And so we came back and decided to open it up. The friend I was traveling with actually is my business partner in that, and she does all the operations, runs the whole thing, and
Wow.
it's a lot of fun.
Is it a lot of fun? Okay, awesome. So what we're going to do, I can't wait to learn more about that. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we want to talk about some of your charitable acts on how you help our foster kids, and perhaps the thing, what your vision and hope is that New Mexico can help and assist that. So let's go to a quick commercial break.
Okay.
New Mexico has long been a land of potential. We could be this. We might do that. someday. For renewable, affordable energy, someday is today. The PNM parent company is merging with Avangrid, a national leader in clean energy. We'll continue to invest in technology and energy infrastructure benefiting the state. We'll make 100% carbon-free energy by 2040 possible, while keeping bills affordable. New Mexico is more than a land of dreamers. We're doers.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is JP Espinoza, your host with the Powered Up by PNM podcast right here at the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce. Today, we have a remarkable guest, Angela Romero. And Angela Romero has such an amazing story because she owns two businesses right here in the Albuquerque area. But when you begin to look at her roots, although she grew up here in New Mexico, her roots were a little bit different. She lost her parents at a very young age, and she became an emancipated minor, which means that at a younger than 18, she was now on her own. And she used fortitude, her wisdom, her drive, and a path set by her dad instilled in her to build something really special. And today she's now giving back. She sits on the board of an organization called the Heart Gallery, right? And you alluded to it in our first segment a little bit, but what the Heart Gallery is, and just correct me if I'm wrong, what I understand it to be, it's a place where that number one, you begin to highlight foster children and really give them a name and give them an identity other than just, hey, I'm a foster kid. It really puts, it humanizes the children who may have been forgotten through this system. Is that what I'm understanding to be true?
Exactly.
Okay.
We want to give them a voice. We want to give them an identity. We want to give them inspiration and hope.
Yes. Oh, yeah, especially I would imagine the children who are without parents. I can imagine that. What is their identity? Who am I? Why did this have to happen to me? What is my future going to look like?
Exactly. And they dig deep, and they do their part. They do their work so that they can come up and sprout up with their own identity and grow forth. It's amazing. You mentioned the ripple, right? And that's what we cause when we put energy into the Heart Gallery. Any little bit that these youth get that they see, it causes a ripple. It's amazing to me because they always come back and say how they want to pay it forward, how they want to help others because they were once helped.
So now it's time to give back, right?
Yeah.
So is that why you're so passionate about the Heart Gallery?
I am. I'm passionate about the youth, that may be lost or may be struggling or may feel that there's no hope, or I want them to know that people care and that there is hope and that they're not alone.
Yeah.
They're heard. They are someone. They are valid. They are New Mexico's children.
That's so good. So in addition, what the Heart Gallery does is you take photos of these children, right? And it's almost in a childlike habitat where they get to almost feel who that child is, right? Versus just a portrait or maybe like a mug shot, right? Like,
Yeah.
why don't you take a look at this kid?
Right.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. You put them in a natural setting.
Natural setting, that's the word I was looking for.
So that they're doing what kids do, interacting with nature or interacting with their siblings because they may have, a sibling group. And just being kids.
Right.
They don't have a lot of opportunity to do that. They often are forced to grow up a lot quicker than other youth have had to. I mean, I know I had to. So.
Right. And you take these photos and you place them in like the airport, correct?
Yeah, we have Heart Galleries all over the state. They move, but we do have one in, I believe that's still at the airport. I believe we have the one still at the Hispanic Cultural Center. And then we have some mobile ones that are on wheels, like in different museums around town. But I'm not even sure where they're all located, but there's many.
And it creates such an awareness, right? And it creates an awareness of what kids are going through as people look at these pictures. All of a sudden, they're not just a foster kid, that's little Amy or that's little Johnny or that's, all of a sudden they realize that these are kids. These are kids.
And that's exactly what we want to create is awareness and a connection.
Yes.
Because so many times, like you say, people are busy with their lives, raising their children, doing their jobs, and they don't realize, oh my gosh, there are 2,000 children out there that need to find a forever family, need to find a home. I mean, amazing when it works and when there's that connection and a foster youth finds a forever family and they realize, they recognize it in each other. And I think these photos really help to do that because they can look at them and look at them in a natural setting and say, oh, wow, I really think that I could be a good part, a positive part of that child's life.
Mm. As you're talking, I was just thinking and reflecting on, my own children, and I started thinking about how much I tell them I love them and how I care for them and how I protect them and how much I invest in them.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine what life would be like for them if they didn't have that. It breaks my heart, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what that love and support that you give to them does for them, what foundation that creates. And so at Heart Gallery, if we could just be a little piece of a foundation for them, because they might have nothing. And
A
they're
little
building it
touch
on
of
their own.
family, just a little.
Yeah.
Let them know, hey, someone out here, you are important.
Yep.
Right. And I think, even as a parent, that's my number one message to my kids is that you are important. You are validated. You are someone special. That's what I'm constantly telling my two girls. And to let these foster children know that they are special, that they have a purpose and a dream that they can pursue. I applaud the work that the Heart Gallery is doing. And one thing I loved about what you mentioned earlier is the fact that the Heart Gallery also helps to transition youth go from youth to adulthood by perhaps paying for down payment of their rent or helping to get their driver's license. You mentioned something earlier in our pre-interview that blew my mind. I never even thought about it. Like when a minor needs to get their driver's license, who's going to sign for them? You need a guardian or a parent, right?
Exactly. And those are the things that people maybe don't think about or recognize. It's the littlest thing can be a big roadblock for a youth, just like getting your driver's license.
Right.
And so that's one of the big functions that we do is we get them all into driver's ed classes and, help them. That's one of the big things becoming an independent
Right.
youth is to be able to get around and even own a car, and have a driver's license.
So does the state follow children after they transition out of the foster care program, or is it like once they turn a certain age, they're like, all right, we're done?
Great question. Yes. And so that transition period goes, I believe it's until age 25.
Okay.
We start at about age 16
Mm-hmm.
and goes through age 25. And that time, Heart Gallery, like I say, does a lot to try to empower them to become independent livers, independent youth. And the state also does provide a subsidy as long as they stay in contact with their youth transition coordinators and stay in there's classes that they can take,
yeah.
there's things that they can do. As long as they do that, they do get this stipend. The one thing that we've noticed in the Heart Gallery is there's sometimes a gap. Well, oftentimes there's a gap when they hit 18 and they matriculate from their foster situation.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they are thrust into independent living kind of suddenly sometimes. Before that stipend takes place, there's maybe a couple of month gap, but it can be a very vulnerable time
I
for a
bet.
youth because it's a very sudden time, and they may not be quite prepared, and they could get into a sticky situation in that time. So that's where I think we really get in there and help get them set up into an apartment. Their child youth, their youth transition
Right.
coordinators are the liaison with us and them. We don't really have direct contact with the youth, but they tell us, hey, this is where the youth is and what the youth needs, as far as we need to get their deposit on the apartment, or we need to get their utilities set up, or, they need a cap and gown,
Right.
or something like that. And that's where we really help that very vulnerable point when they're transitioning from foster care into independent living.
So at this point, when a child is transitioning, right, from youth to this independent living model, what do they typically do for work? What kind of occupations do most of these youth find themselves in?
Yeah, probably pretty typical of what your own children
Okay.
might find. Work in a restaurant or work in a retail situation, or if we can, we've had business owners partner and do some kind of like internship.
Yeah, that's the point I was getting at, right? Can you imagine if a businesses were to say, hey, listen, I'm willing to help out transitioning youth, give them an internship, put them on their feet, but also teach them some real business skills that I believe everybody needs to have, right? In order to grow their business, but perhaps really foster that idea of entrepreneurship, which leads to further independence and freedom in their life. Well, that's my opinion, and that's the point I was trying to get to. Is that is there any program set up where maybe business owners can say, hey, how do I bring in these young folks to come work for us?
Yeah, that we have tried a few of those, and there are employers out there who've done that.
Right.
And even with community projects, like the Mayor's Summer Art Project, where they do those tiles. We've had some really good artists. If we have a skill of a youth that fits something specific like that, it works out marvelously. A few years back, we actually had a youth who was an amazing artist, and we were able to get them to work on that mural project. And there's funds, that help pay the youth a stipend
Right.
for doing that, and that has worked out.
That's helped out a lot,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, that does.
So, what we're going to do is we're going to go to one more commercial break. But when we get back, what I like to talk about is the big Christmas gift, the wish list that Heart Gallery does, and then make a call to action for those who are listening today and how they can participate and help these foster children during the holiday season. So let's go to commercial break.
New Mexico has long been a land of potential. We could be this. We might do that someday. For renewable, affordable energy, someday is today. The PNM parent company is merging with Avangrid, a national leader in clean energy. We'll continue to invest in technology and energy infrastructure benefiting the state. We'll make 100% carbon-free energy by 2040 possible, while keeping bills affordable. New Mexico is more than a land of dreamers. We're doers.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is JP Espinosa, your host for the Powered Up by PNM podcast. And today we have our special guest, Ms. Angela Romero, who happens to be the owner of Angela Romero Insurance Agency and ABQ Acts. But her story is so amazing, as if you've been listening, you know how remarkable it is. But if you're jumping into the podcast right now, you're going to find out she went from homelessness to building 2 successful businesses. And today, not only is she currently thriving in her businesses, but now she's giving back to the same people she once was, the foster children of New Mexico, which I love what she says when she says it's New Mexico's children, it's our children. And today she sits on the board with the Heart Gallery, where they go and they make a difference in the life of these foster children. And what's really amazing is that you do something really special for these foster children. Is something called the wish list. Is that correct? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. Probably about 10 years ago, we started what we call the Secret Santa, Operation Secret Santa, in which we ask the youth, hey, what do you want? What do you want for Christmas? I kind of thought, these youth may have never, ever been asked what they want for Christmas. And just that would be one small way for them to be heard, actualized, realized, and have a voice.
Yeah.
And so we came up with the idea to have them make a wish list, as you would. And we get those lists together and we give them out to the community. Anyone who wants to be a Secret Santa, we give them a list, and they get something that they want to, if it's on the list or not on the list.
Right.
And then we get that back to the youth transition coordinators, and they get it to the youth for their holiday. And it is quite an amazing, just an amazing operation, because the youth get back to us with cards and notes and letters, and the words that they write are so wonderful, because they say something like gosh, I've never had a Christmas, or I've never had I was never given anything for Christmas,
Wow.
or much less something that I actually asked for
Right.
on a list that I made. So they realize, oh, there's somebody who cares, and they have hope that they're not all alone. They're not all alone in this world. That there are people out there that want to help them, that want to empower them to become part of our community and become productive individuals.
Mm. So tell us, like, how do you get this information out? Like if I want to be a wish lister, or I want to provide this, how do I learn about this?
Well, we have, I did put a post on Facebook on that. We have a website. It's heartgallerynmfoundation.org. And then also you can contact me
Yeah.
directly. And I just, shoot me an email, a text, or whatever. And I just send the lists out as I get them. And we have a lot of youth that ask for gift cards, just naturally, because they can
Sure.
go buy groceries or toiletry items.
Right,
or,
right.
But it's amazing how simple a lot of the lists are. They need a jacket or a pair of boots or a crock pot.
It's amazing. So typically, if someone wanted to participate in a wish list for this Secret Santa gift, how much does that typically cost, and what kind of range are we looking at?
We tell our Secret Santas whatever they want, whatever it is that makes them feel right, is right for them. There is a range of things, like I say, that might be on their list, and they can get one thing or nothing on the list. They can give whatever it is that they care to give,
Right.
in any amount. What I usually end up doing is I try to make sure that each youth has, around $100 of items or gift cards or something. But that's just a range that I use. For
Sure.
the Secret Santas, they can just give whatever they feel
Right.
that they would like to give. That's all.
This is so precious, because I can just imagine this foster child, and we know they have a name, but we'll protect the identity, right? So I don't know their name. I know they have a name, but we'll call them foster child for right now. And they've been living life, and life has been tough because they don't have these parents and the guidance, and all of a sudden they know that someone is telling them, hey, you're thought of, you're loved, you're cared for. Here's a gift for you. I can just imagine what those words look like when they pen a note back to you.
Oh, it's amazing, and it's beautiful, and they do. They write this little list, and they get it out into, they send it out into the ether, I guess, and imagine that's what
Yeah.
they feel like. But here it comes back to them, something picked out specially for them that they wrote on there, and it's more than a gift. It's more than that. It is that they are recognized, that they
Yes.
are heard.
They have a
that they
name,
exist.
their identity. Yes. I think this is so important. More than likely, I would like to participate in this myself. Maybe the folks listening to it will be willing to join me in this initiative and become a Secret Santa. And what I want to do is, I not only I want to do this, but I want my kids to participate, because I think that is so precious when you get your children involved. Because, like I have a 14-year-old and 11-year-old, two little girls, and the conversation is saying, hey, listen, we're going to put this gift together for these children who don't have parents. And I want to see their reaction. My job is to teach them charity. My job is to teach them to give back. And as a father, I think that's really important. I think every parent should do that, but that's just my own biased opinion. But I think this is a great way to show your kids philanthropy and generosity.
It's a gift. It's a gift for your own children.
It is.
I had one of my Secret Santas actually say that. He said, I'm going to give my kids a gift. They don't realize that this is a gift, but I'm going to give them this gift to go out and shop for these youth that have no.
The kids will never, my kids probably will never forget that. And I believe that's going to bring joy to them, knowing that they're helping someone else. And I think it's a great way to instill family values and to let your kids know how appreciative they should be. But, because sometimes our kids don't appreciate us, and that's okay. And I'm not looking for appreciation as a parent, but I am looking to make sure that they grow up to be great, productive citizens of, in this city that we live in the nation we live in. So I think this is just a great way for us to teach our kids this. So let me ask you this: if you were to do a call to action for those people who are listening today as we wrap up, what would you tell our viewers to inspire them to participate, whether it's in the Heart Gallery or perhaps to become a Secret Santa? What would be your call to action?
Oh, I would love any help. Anyone, if anyone would like to be a Secret Santa, that would be fantastic. Or even make a donation to the Heart Gallery Foundation. I think the most important thing I can say is that any little act of kindness, they may not have an idea of what one simple, small act of kindness can do and the impact that it can make in another person's lives. And like you said, the ripple that it causes.
Yeah.
Because it goes out with no seeming end.
That's so beautiful. And what I'll urge our viewers and everyone who's maybe listening is that, $50, $100, it may be, you're probably thinking like, oh my God, that's probably not that much. I can't make a difference with even $25, at this point. But it is not about the money as much as it is the thought that this child receives, knowing that they're cared for. And I believe that hope is the greatest thing we can give away. And if a gift, a financial contribution, or going out there and shopping, as I'm shopping for my own kids for one of our foster children here in New Mexico, if that seed can be planted in the sense of hope, in the fertile ground of hope, then maybe their future can be a little bit brighter. And that's what our hope is.
Indeed.
Oh.
I believe it will grow.
Angela Romero, you've been one of my favorite guests on this show. Your story is inspiring. I'm so proud of you. I'm so very proud of you. I think that your story needs to be really highlighted and shined on because whether people or kids are foster or non-foster, they still need to see examples like yourself who press through life's struggles to do great things. So I'm so proud of you. Where can our listeners learn more about you? Do you want to share your email or your
Sure.
phone number? Like, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Most definitely. My email is angela@ariainc.net. It's ariainc.net. And again, New Mexico, it's the Heart Gallery of New Mexico Foundation is our website. And there's a donate button on there. They can go that route. Shoot, I'll give my cell phone.
Yeah, yeah.
505-220-5712. Shoot me a text. Give me a call if you would like a list. We would love to get you involved.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Angela, for being on our show today. We wish you continued success, and thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Well, this is JP Espinosa, your host with the PoweredUp by PNM podcast. Today we had such a remarkable and inspiring story, a story that will hopefully spark hope in your very own heart as you heard Angela's story. See, we believe here at the Hispano Chamber of Commerce that you're one connection away. And can you imagine connecting with a foster child who needs hope? It's amazing the work that you can do. I encourage you to go to the Heart Gallery Foundation and look it up on the internet or reach out to Angela so you can be part of someone's magical holiday wish. Here at the Chamber, we believe in charity. We believe in giving back. You know why? Because here, one of our values are that we believe in serving others. And when you serve others, prosperity will move forward in your direction. So until next week, where we have the opportunity to visit with Olivia Padilla-Jackson with CNM, we look forward to you, and we hope you have a safe and happy holiday. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for the Power Up by PNM podcast hour in partnership with the Hispano Chamber of Commerce. And again, a big shout out to our sponsor, the folks at PNM, who help keep your businesses energy efficient. Don't forget to join us every Tuesday at noon to hear from those in the community that are moving us forward. And for more information about the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce, call us at 842-9003 or visit us online for more information at www.ahcnm.org, and to replay this podcast, add a /chamber chat.